Wer kommt eigentlich zu uns?
Who actually comes to us? They're curious people. People who have got to know other people in other organizations, in networks, in forums, who have become more effective. Because at the end of the day, it always comes down to effectiveness. Effectiveness of the individual or effectiveness of a whole organization. And you experience the transformation of a person or of a group that has suddenly become hugely more effective overall, then you become curious and you ask yourself, what did those people actually do?
Dann hör mal, was habt ihr denn eigentlich gemacht? Und das sind Menschen, die dann bei uns anrufen.
And these are the people who call us. They don't have any specific goals or concrete projects. They just want to be more effective. And that's what we do in principle. We help people and whole organizations to do what they do more effectively. They raise questions about their raison d'être and they realize that the center is tired. Their hierarchy is tired. They can't take it anymore.
Die Hierarchie ist müde. Sie kann das alles nicht mehr halten, wenn sie merken.
When they realize this and they realize that the situation is not going to improve, not even with a new IT system or with a new mission statement, then they say, okay, we've tried this and that, now it's time to look at some serious questions. We've seen this a lot in the last 5 years in major groups in Germany. The board or a cross-section of the company takes a look at the whole system and they start to wonder what's wrong with us. They ask fundamental questions about their main aims, about the existence, about what's going wrong, and these are very relevant questions. There are challenges, but of course, they bring much more in the way of rewards afterwards. Those who are asking these sorts of fundamental questions are in the right place here with us.
Und ganz konkret,
in practical terms, that means a lot of the questions were asked related to leadership, because leadership is currently at a turning point and management teams are starting to realize that they are not getting the results they want with their old management styles.
Führungsstil nicht mehr weiterkommen. Und die Frage ist,
and it is not yet clear how the new style will be defined.
Der neue Stil aus. Und diese neue
The simple answer that we would like to offer is that the new management culture is very closely linked with facilitation. And facilitation means enabling the possible. The meaning is in the word, and that also means enabling our inner vision. We enable dialogues which have not yet taken place and facilitate processes. That doesn't mean putting on rose-tinted glasses or smoothing over a path, but working through genuine dialogue, through expressing personal truth and through guidance, which involves creating secure rooms, secure containers, where people can come together and thereby fulfill their personal potential.
Wir sagen, einen so sicheren Container schafft, wo Menschen zu sich kommen können und damit auch in ihr Potenzial kommen können.
New leadership is a leadership that asks more than it answers. New leadership is a leadership that is curious, not angry. There are two ways to respond to situations in life, with curiosity or with anger. New leadership is about curiosity. New leadership is not angry that things are not as they thought they were. New leadership is humble in the face of complexity. It operates with appreciation of the as yet unknown, meaning that when something new pops up and they can't explain it, the attitude of new leadership is to say, aha, that's something I haven't understood yet. So it's an inquiring style of leadership, and that makes it a model for other organizations, because an organization which takes the time to inform itself before it takes a decision is naturally a wiser one than an organization which just says, okay, everybody, here's what we're going to do. They get results, but they're not well informed. New leadership is a development process. It takes ownership of making sure all relevant parties are asked for input before a decision is taken. New leadership is humble, faced with the complexity of the markets, the company, and dynamics.
For me, new leadership, in a nutshell, is participatory. That is, it involves the entire system, not as a democracy, not as anarchy, but for the purposes of consultation, in the sense of knowing, what is in the system. It opens a space where people can contribute their knowledge and where they can work smarter together. For me, new management has a lot to do with co-creation, namely where decisions and next steps are developed together. New leadership means always assuming responsibility and taking decisions, but only after a process of consultations.
Facilitation is new leadership.
An
organization has carried out a restructuring, and the result of this restructuring is chaos. Individual areas are no longer properly focused, locations are changed, and materials are now missing, because they are no longer in the places they were in before, so it is just really all complete chaos. Then they call us and we advise them, which is to say, we explain what our facilitation process is or how we would address the situation. That is always the same, because we always recommend that they build a pilot group. A pilot group consists of about 12 people and is a cross-section of the system at issue, which represents both the hierarchy and the individual areas. Our guiding principles is that knowledge resides in the system, and when we begin working with these 12 people, doesn't always have to be 12 people, we start asking questions. What actually works? What the goal is? Where to go from here? Who needs to talk to whom? These questions are like a mantra for us. We ask them all the time.
Es geht also darum,
It's also about making a change in the manner and style in which we take decisions. It's about moving away from thinking about something in my own head and only bringing it to the organization when I'm happy that others will not only understand it, but also even approve of it. It's the basic process which is currently in place. Some people are charged with thinking of new strategies, new guidelines, new mission statements, new concepts. They do that within themselves, and these are brought into the organization, and then there's the next wave of change. In the mainstream, that's the basic process.
Das ist im Mainstream der Basisprozess. Bei uns
Our way is to look at the complexity of these issues and to see what the next strategic steps will look like. Is it enough just to create a task force, hand the issue over to them and then pump the outcome into the organization with 80 to 120,000 people? Or is it better to use the knowledge that is in the system and to build a steering group, a bit like a council of elders, to look at who needs what, where what needs to be, who's been stuck on the periphery and ignored just because they've been there for 30 years, than we've got in our heads. So the board or the management team needs to have the humility and the sensitivity to say, okay, we need a broader decision-making framework in our organization than what's just in our heads. Of course, we're standing on the shoulders of giants with regards to systemic interventions in large groups. Kurt Levine, Action Research, Harrison Owen, Malvin Weisbord, Catherine Denner-Miller, David Bourne, The Dialogue. We stand on the shoulders of giants and humbly try to give our best in order to not overwrite their work, but to contribute to developing it.